This is Greg from Greg's Whisky Guide. Welcome back again in my channel, and thanks a lot for the followers, subscribers, and all you guys who commented my previous videos. It's much appreciated, whether it's compliments or critical critics about the videos. Constructive ones, of course, rather than other ones. Today I'm going to talk to you about a topic I wanted to cover for a long time, but I needed a few more items to cover it as widely as possible without being overwhelming information, overwhelming choice, but I will try to cover as much as possible the glassware topic. Which glass for which whiskey, or rather, is this glass, the glass I have here, which one is the best for whiskey, in my opinion, with my 20 years experience, blah blah blah, you know all that. Of course, and it's a huge disclaimer, it is my opinion only. So like the water you put into your glass, the use of the glass is a very personal thing. Now there's always people asking me what's the best glass, etc., like they do what's the best whiskey. It doesn't come as often, but what's the best glass to appreciate, to enjoy your whiskey, often comes on the table as a long time topic as well, also because the offer did change over time, and that's interesting. I'm not going to talk to you a lot about trendy glasses and some that will do, in my opinion, some kind of non-honorable mention. Not because they're awful and it's bullshit glass, etc., but because for me the value which always comes to mind isn't interesting those glasses wise. For me, a glass which is 20 euros or more, or 50, isn't really interesting, because if you break one, it's going to be very expensive to buy another one to start with. And then does it offer really a wider, a bigger, a more satisfying experience than a one that has 5 or 7 or 10 euros, or say 10 pounds or 5 pounds or less even. So this will come to my mind when I will taste, this is the word, nose mostly, the glass, the different glasses. In my table I didn't put all the ones I have, because some are a bit remote and buried under stuff, because I don't use them, because I don't like them. However, I'm gonna show you examples of what might not be the best, but is more dedicated to a specific use, and which people often forget about glasses shapes. And glasses shapes, mind you, there's a reason for that the glass is smaller than a glass of beer or a glass of wine, for instance. It's because simply the ABV, the alcohol percentage, is much higher than a beer and a wine, so the content must be lower, must be smaller. Container, sorry, must be smaller. There's an exception to that, and we'll see that later on. It's the mode of consuming your whiskey, and the amount of whiskey you're gonna put into your glass. This is gonna be a variable to take into account. But for now, I'm gonna present you quickly the glasses and then tell you about my thoughts. And for that, I did choose. This is not a commercial or advertising video. This is just because I know this whiskey for a long time, and it has changed a bit, yes, but I know this Highland Park 12 years old before the latest rebranding. It is something that has bit change over time, but it's a kind of benchmark for me when I want to know, a bit like other reviewers. Won't mention famous ones, but most famous ones, but you know who I'm talking about. When I'm not sure about my state condition, I use a calibrating whiskey to see if I'm gonna be able after that to try other ones. So when it's something that's very delicate and unsmoky, I won't use this one. But if I know it has a bit of smoke, or it has enough character to compete with this one, then I will use this whiskey prior to everything, right? So, without further ado, like just to know, and also I have this on my table, and also my blended, not malt but whiskey, just for fun and mostly to give you an idea of the scale of the glasses compared to the bottles, a dumpy bottle and a tall bottle, even if they're taller. And also, but you will see there's others, this is a wide wine glass, more than 30 cl. And as you can see here, probably it is much bigger, or quite bigger, or a little bigger than most of the glasses here. At the exception of some tumblers, I added to the end because of a specific reason. So we're going to start with something that shouldn't be selected here, but it's just for a purpose. It is a simple branded with a stupid name, doesn't even exist, so it's an undisclosed one. This is a shot, which is approximately, I think, 4 cl, probably 4 or 5 cl. This has almost no cost. I had it a long time ago in a second-hand selling thing in the streets, while I was not into really was beginning in whiskey. So yeah, last thing before I forget, I poured in each glass that you can see here, and I'm gonna post a picture as the presentation, so you will see the different glasses. Each glass here is filled with this jigger, branded jigger, okay, but still a professional bar jigger, 2.5 cl, almost full, so probably a bit more than 2.3 cl centiliters of whiskey. This is a traditional measure 2.5 and 5. And this is important because this is the way I assess my whiskies, not necessarily the way you will drink your whiskies, especially if you're in a bar, and the measure will rather be 4 cl or sometimes 5 or 6, but most commonly in a French bar at least. I think they might be valid in the UK as well, so please let me know if I mistake. The famous dram is around 3 cl, and usually the measure here at least is 4 cl. But when I taste a whiskey and when I nose it to assess it, and the question is here more to assess than really to enjoy, but this is also the enjoyment question, right? But how discover a whiskey with the maximum chances to get everything out of it? This is the main question here of my video. Well, might be too long to present you each one in details, but let me tell you, this is what we call here drop of water glass. So it's a very small glass. You have only let's say, 4, yeah, you can have 5-6 CL in this, but it's not made for a big amount of alcohol, and it's also made to carry with you in some small bag, or it's a kind of takeaway glass for external purposes. This is not a whiskey glass, this is a spirits glass, but it can be useful if you don't have proper nosing glass or stuff like that, because even if it's not for the most complex, the most old, the most it can do the job still because of this shape, and we're going to speak again about this specific shape. This is most often coming branded like it is here, but you can also have this one from a distillery I visited, Tumbler. This is a famous Glencairn glass. It's come from the UK, but it also produced elsewhere. So this one, the Glencairn, is 17.5 CL content and retails around €5 or more if it's branded. This is an interesting glass which doesn't bear really a name. It was something made at for French channel shops called Casa. The offer was amazingly crazy. At first it was something I wanted to offer to friends, but I finally kept it. It didn't came really an occasion to offer it, and 4 glasses for €15. And look at it, it's, if I put it side to side to a Glencairn, it's a bit wider, it descends a bit more before it enlarged, but it's almost the same principle. No stem, but you can have it in your hand. This one easily the Glencairn and this one, but this one is lovely fitting in your hand. Voila in French. This is so far my favorite glass that I use all the time to nose whiskies and to try them as well. This is the luxury version with the glass lead. This comes most of the time with branded nosing glasses. This, if you have several and you want to assess several whiskies and not let them have too much air, you can use this to stop the oxygenation and keep it maximum flavored, let's say. It can be contested, but it's often, you can use also friendly one, wooden coin shape to come into the glass perfectly. You can also, and we know this guy too, use plastic or iron or anything coin on it. But basically most of the time it comes like this. This is less than 10 CL, and this is the problem of this glass is that's why I take care of them. It is around 6 to 20 CL, whether it's branded or not, and it's often sold one by one. Sometimes you can have them in whiskey boxes, but it's very rare. Most of the time it comes with a Glencairn, or sometimes with other things we're going to see. But this is basically my favorite one, and I'm going to talk to you later on after the short presentation. Short a bit too. This is a glass from a brand that is French and that I found very interesting. This is the Open Up range, and this is the Open Up whiskey glass. It's not really named, it's just in the Open Up range. It's made in quartz, so it's supposed to be unbreakable, even if in my history I broke one once. But usually if you put it like this in your in somewhere, you don't break it. It's 16.5, sorry, CL. Retails from €6 each, usually here. So very interesting. It is a kind of decent and even almost perfect alternative to this one. The stem is longer. It's very good. I'm gonna tell you to assess your whiskey, and it's a bit more solid. It has also more length, so for more expressivity, and it's a bit wider. So it has its pro and cons, but they're from the same family. The three following ones are almost from the same family of glasses, because they can be classified as copitas. Even if this one is not really a copita in my opinion, because it is more tall than the traditional copita and less wide, as you can see. The interest of this one, which was offered with whiskies from Diageo company, I think I had it one time with Lagavulin, another time with Talisker, is that there is a measure. So it's sold with the classic malts. Don't know if you can see the measures. So the measures are 2 CL and 4 CL. So you can see you can put 10 CL there, but you won't be able to swirl it around. So the glasses basically for refined spirits are not made to be full. Otherwise you cannot really enjoy the experience, in my opinion. So this is very precious glass. I often use for home blending, as you can see behind. This way it's for me easier to measure what I put into the creation. So it's a kind of small brother of the copita. The copita as well, this is a smaller one, and by the way, you won't be able to see it, I'm sorry, but it's a Nika branded one I was offered. There's a kind of a little calligraphy there. This is a bit bigger. This is beautifully curved, again, a bit like steel shape. This one is more like a steel shape. That's why it's, in my opinion, it's probably the best. But this one is a kind of like the Inao, we're gonna see ENAO, or Copita wine tasting glass. These are the closer to the best compromise, probably, to assess everything: wine, white spirits, aged brown spirits, cognac, Armagnac, whiskey, rum, because this is not very wide at the beginning, but this is closing in slowly, so you can have some of the experience of letting the aromas extend, but not too much. So I might reserve this one rather for other spirit, not very aged. Sometimes white spirit as well. I don't really use it a lot for whiskies, except the ones I know. But it's a nice option. Sometimes difficult to find. You're not gonna search for the Nika one I have because it's very rare. But there are other brands that do this kind of small glass. But it can do the job, so that's why I put it on the table. This one is the Copita glass, or INAO, National Institute for Origin and Quality. It defines norms for tastings, and it's designed for professionals to assess wine, mostly. But many master blenders like Richard Pattison or Bill Lumsden do like to use this glass when they assess a whiskey to do a blending or to see the result of their blending, which is something different. So again, nice stem, you can swirl around Remember, not too much with whiskey because it's strong alcohol, so if you swirl it around very fast and you stick your nose in it, you're gonna be burned. It's not the idea. And if someone tells you the contrary, he's wrong. Now, one of those I really wanted to have, but we might see not for assessing really whiskey, is this one, which is branded, which was offered in a Christmas offer this year, and previously it's not a novelty. It's the Quarks, again made in Quarks, but it's called a warm glass. And what's interesting with this one, except the fact that it is 30 cl, and you can have it for I wrote between 15 euros the two, or it climbs up to 34 euros. I saw it in Amazon. I was shocked. It is not worth 34 euros if you can have coming to whiskey shops and else two for 15 euros. The interest in this one compared to tumblers we're gonna see is that it can work for blended whiskey, but it can work also for single malt whiskey. Right. I'm afraid it's gonna be a long video. I apologize again, but I wanted to present them before I assess not the whiskey but the glass using the whiskey for that. So this is, like I said, 30 cl. The interest in this is the very wide range, like a cognac glass, and then coming up progressively to restrain, not too much, but restrain a bit the way the alcohol will come to your nose, and that is interesting. But like you can see, I put the same amount in all glasses. This is filled with approximately 2.3 or 2.4 cl, which you understand very quickly it is not enough to enjoy the experience. So and I'm gonna do the experience after that, so it's best enjoyed with 4 cl, at least 4 or 5, responsibly, etc. But for instance, when you're gonna have only one whiskey in the evening, you can put a bit more, take your time, of course, have water on the side, but this will allow you, in my opinion, to enjoy some whiskies, like I did enjoy an old Bowmore, 17 years old, once in Le Forum bar, very famous whiskey bar in Paris, with this glass, and I was surprised how many flavors I could take from this glass, which I didn't believe it was designed for whiskey. Then of course everybody knows this is branded as well, I'm sorry, but this is how you get glasses sometimes. This is a straight tumbler. So tumbler, once again, you can see it's not made for this, in my opinion, even if for economical reasons, because it's less expensive than this. Most of the bars all over the world, unfortunately, will serve you whiskey in this glass, while for me, I will prefer they serve it in there at least. This one is a bit of a 4x4 all kind of territories vehicle, can 4 wheels, I mean. So this is made for something we're going to see later on, which is of course tasting on ice. I'm sorry to say that, but it's a bit taboo for some of you. This might be a better option for me, again branded, I'm sorry, because it's a bit rounded, so at least you're gonna still have some flavors coming in, but not too much as for the other tumbler. This is not the best thing to assess whiskey. So now to the second part, which will be comparing the noses of the same whiskey with different glasses, right? So please stay for the second part. There you go. Excuse me, even for nosing. So this This is made for shots, right? So, excuse me a second. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So this standard, let's say, shot glass is made for one thing, for me, regarding whiskey, is when you have a whiskey chaser. You have your beer, and on the side you have a whiskey. You're not gonna take a lot of time to assess it. You know usually what it is. You just want to have a shot at the same time, alternate with your beer. It's a thing I didn't knew until I came to Edinburgh to visit. It can be tricky consuming responsibly wise, so take care with that. Be careful, guys. It's not something I encourage a lot, but it can be the use for it. You can see that in Western movies, but the problem is, like the small plastic shots, the half of it they give you in some whiskey shows, or mostly in more bigger audience targeted, more general shows where you can have a bit of whiskey or cognac stands. At least here they give you plastic glasses, straight plastic glasses. So with no surprise, I get almost nothing. A hint of smoke, maybe some caramel, not much more. So it's not a nosing glass at all. It's no interest. Here comes now, quite cheap as well, the water drop shaped glass. So as you can see, wider base and a little less wide top. So we're in the good way. And also you can swirl it around where you cannot really with the other one. Okay, I get a tiny hint of smoke again, but it's not a very smoky whiskey. It's a very balanced whiskey. That's why I chose it, in order to see which flavors, aromas at least, will come out of it. So I start to have some complexity. I have buttery notes, slightly buttery caramel, fudge notes. If I swirl a bit more, I have now some almost solventy, light solventy notes. Not much more. Okay. Now to the open up spirits glass. So you can see again, close to the shape of a still, but not enough long probably to give you the full experience. So rather advise this for white spirits, right? White rum, mezcal maybe, or but if it's sophisticated spirit, and you better use a bigger glass, like you will see. Okay. So this is more the grassy side of Highland Park that comes out with this one, curiously. It's a bit spirity, so it's a bit more aggressive. So probably not the best glass again for that. Yeah, about weird shaped glasses, I haven't tried some very rounded with a very small top one that I start to see now on social media. Some enjoy the experience. It's like a bowl with just a smaller hole on top, and there's a stem. I don't know what it takes. I had the experience with another glass was called Tuat, which is the Irish glass, very tall and beginning to be less smaller to the top, but with a strange thing coming out on the corners, and very for me unpractical, especially for the end of the the tasting, you have to put it very high, and you risk to have some in you. So and also I was proposed to do the tasting with this Tuat Irish glass, tasting the new at this time Glenmorangie Alta, and I didn't get a lot of things. While after when I complained, I was given a Glencairn in the shop to try it, and I got much more of it. So I don't like the Tuat glass as well. I don't recommend it. As well, all this complicated changing 3 or 4 times shape until they came to the top. For me, this is nonsense. Okay, so a bit more of an experience, not so much. I'm gonna go maybe a bit quicker. The famous, once again, branded this one, but I have a lot of branded gifts or purchase with bottles as well in boxes. Okay, so this you can swirl it. Not real a lot coming on as well. Some grassy elements again, some caramel, hint of smoke. Not much more. So here's the fake, if I may say, Glencairn glass looking like. A bit more caramel now. Strangely, the smoke has disappeared here. So maybe it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes now or more. It's poured. Now, before this is a tip, you can use this your own skin to recalibrate your nose. The famous nosing glass, my favorite. I hope I'm not going to be biased. Okay, surprisingly, this is also becoming unsmoky and more grassy. So maybe the time I poured this, I don't know. Vanilla coming in very shyly. Some hint of gentian and wildflowers. Yeah, a bit disappointing, curiously. On to now the open up whiskey glass. Again, it's fading. Maybe the 40% plays a role in that, so it's a bit disappointing and invalidating my experience. I don't know. I'm a bit worried now. But all in all, very it has a bit more weight than the previous one. It's as weighted as the Glencairn, but it's very practical in your hand with the stem. Yeah, more citrus fruit and candied fruit coming on now. Of course, and it will last hours, the best thing will be to assess each glass after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, with the same whiskey poured at the same time. But we're trying just to make it general. So again, the classic malts, the Ageo measuring glass, which is a kind of capita as well. Strangely, it's not so much alcohol coming in. Usually when I try this glass with a whiskey that I just poured, the alcohol comes straight to the top quickly, more quickly than the other glasses That's why I don't use as much to assess whiskey, but more for doing blends with a measure. Yeah, the leafy side, tea-ish side of Highland Park with the kind of heather honey behind it comes across very strong in this glass. But I have also the citrus fruit thing, and curiously the smoke is back, but not so much. On to now the Nika smaller Copita. Oh, more bergamot tea, Earl Grey, and black tea. So more complex notes from the green elements, let's say, of Highland Park. And also the heather honey, okay, and the caramel coming back. Some nice apricot. Ooh, orange. Interesting, because I poured it later on than the first glass from the table. On to now the nosing, traditional wine nosing glass, Inao in French, Copita in English, let's say, classic Copita wine tasting glass. Very complex nose. The green elements are here, but also some honey, some citrus, hint of smoke, dark chocolate. Very complex things. Some Demerara sugar as well. Hint of spirity, burnt caramel maybe. Interesting. Okay. Moving on to the wider audience, say, glasses. Bearing in mind that even the Copita is still smaller than this huge wine glass, which is not a bigger one. I see bigger ones usually that are trendy now. Onto the warm Chef et Sommelier. I forgot to mention this. Sorry guys, this and this are Chef et Sommelier glasses. This is a French company. So like I said, and I'm gonna pause a second after the first nosing of this to show you why it's not designed for 2CL or so. So I swill as much as I can, but I get everything that was in a previous glass toned down 2 or 3 times, intensity wise, and so this seems to be complex, but doesn't seem to be very expressive. Now the squared tumbler. I have almost no nose. I'm sorry guys. Here. No, I have no nose. Now the squared, and again Johnny Walker like the previous one, but you can see wider other brands. Okay, let's swirl it a bit more maybe. I'm starting to having back a bit of caramel, a bit of green elements, but it's very subdued. It's too wide to let the spirit concentrate and come across to your nose. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add the double to the last glasses to make more sense for a tasting, and I'm gonna nose each of them, and then I'm gonna explain you something about how they should be used most probably. So I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for interruption, but there's a reason for that. Yeah, you see it coming, you see it coming. So basically I'm not gonna do this 3 times because it's quite an amount of alcohol in this day, but I'm gonna take almost 2.5 of this to put it into the warm glass. So makes it 5, so it's just a bit more, but it's still a professional measure. So 5 cl again, it's this, 2.5 is this. So there's now in this glass there's 5 cl, and you can see it's still not much compared to the shape of the glass, and it should come until this, I think, to be efficient, which is 6 or 7, yeah, maybe cl, which is a bit too much, or at least you can have this for an hour, let's say, and that's it, to before the chimney fireplace and stuff. I'm gonna take now, let's take this one, 2.5 more to put into my other tumbler. And we're gonna assess the nosing once again. And I'm gonna put again the same amount in the last one. Okay. Not losing anything. Okay, so now we have 3 tumblers with the double of the dose of whiskey we had previously, and we saw that with less than that it was almost impossible to get something out of the glasses, except probably for the warm one, in my opinion. So let's try to see now. We can still swirl it around. It's hard to do for me on a higher position than the one I can control the movement. But yeah, let's do this. High foot quick, because it reminds me of something I won't do, which is too risky for me, the anaconda move. This is for Andy. Yeah, much better now. Yeah, I have not the complete profile, but I have let's say 70% of it in his complexity and expression. Not 70%, maybe 60, or yeah, it's much better. So I got the honey, I got the black tea, I had the Earl Grey, this forest moss thing. Forest moss, not on the trees. There are no trees in Orkney, so rather on the ground, mushrooms and stuff, if there are. So some leather, dark chocolate. So I was right, this is a good glass, but this is a glass in which you have to put more amount of whiskey in it. And of course you can enjoy it also with ice, but I will keep this rather for assessing a greater amount of whiskey than the other glasses, and to enjoy taking your time, swirl it around. This is quite nice, I like it. And I'm gonna give you my top 3 or 4 after this, because there are 13 glasses here. Now 5cl as well, same punishment for this tumbler, squared tumbler. Yeah, there's a bit more coming in, but there's less distance from the nose, so, but it's bland because it's everything's on the surface. There's not much thing that's coming across. It lacks a vehicle to push this aromas towards your nose, and I don't want to swirl too much to get the risk of throwing away from the glass and on the ground. Okay, so doesn't really work. Now last one, the a bit roundish tumbler, again a Johnny Walker one, but who cares. Yeah, same idea. Okay, so not very satisfying. So the winner of the dumpy and wider glasses is this one for me. The winner of the taller glasses the taller stem glasses. I hesitate between those two, so I qualified those two. So Capita and the Open Up Whisky Chef et Sommelier. Oh my god. Honestly, those three ones are very good. Even if I prefer this, the Glencairn does the job as well now. Once it's a bit opened. This one too, but I prefer the Glencairn. It gives some more balance, it seems, to the tasting. Now let me tell you why those two are made for, and we're not gonna do it for the both because I haven't eaten yet. I just have my breakfast earlier on and it's getting late now. This is made for one thing for me. This is made to put, and I'm gonna put it into the tumbler, so the other tumbler is made for this. Yes, ice, of course. So you're not gonna drink a 40 years old, 30 years old, or very delicate triple distilled spirit, limited edition, single cask, blah blah blah, into this. It might be a pity, but once you bought it, of course it's yours. You do what you want with it. But my opinion is this is for blended whiskies under 12 years old or under 15 years old. Over it, glass is a crime for them, I believe. So not much glass, but I can enjoy the experience. But I prefer something else. I will show you. Okay, glass is just put on with tap water for these ones, mineral water for the other. It's not the best tap water. I like to filter it. It's a bit remote now. With a simple filter decanter you can find everywhere. But this is for in the blended whiskey territory or cheap single malts that you know it's not for assessing. It's just for enjoying with the aperitif, with everything to eat, etc. As the ice hasn't melted too much yet, it develops though the Highland Park signature smoke trademark, the head of honey and the citrus fruit side. Not the best condition. Now, my favorite. And this was a gift, and I'm going to speak about it later on, because it's very difficult for me to find some that are not branded. And this was given by Valentine's. It will be in one of my next reviews about the novelty. And this gives this, which is for me the best option for whiskey on ice. It's the ice ball. So this is cut in two. You put your water by the small hole here. You make sure this is well tightly closed, and you put into the freezer, and you have a wonderful bowl. A bit difficult to put out, I have to say, sometimes, but and even the ice can be bigger, like you can see in some videos of a Suntory bartender doing this, carving even the ice with a special tool. This makes the ice melt in a slower way than the traditional glaçons, ice cubes I showed you before. So for me, it's the best option because it freezes a bit, okay, so we're gonna get some experience, less experience towards to something that's normal temperature or just chill, but a few drops of water, refreshed. This of course will break some aromas, no mystery, but can be an enjoyable experience visually already, also because it's progressive. So during the first minutes you might enjoy the experience, and also it's mineral water in this one. Cheers, by the way. Nice. The smoke's come on the front now. Of course it's a bit degraded, but I'm used to Highland Parks and I have a bottle in advance, so it's not like something rare. But I enjoy it. I enjoy it like this, maybe with a square of chocolate, dark chocolate. There you have it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Apologies for being very long on this one, but I thought it could be interesting to compare all these. And I hope you will find in your local markets enough choices, glassware choices, to enjoy your own experience. And if you have other glasses to advise or questions about these ones, and about the experience, please let me know in the comments. I'm curious of your feedback. Thank you very much, and see you next time. And once again, there's a timing under the video, so you're not obliged. If you want to see only the comparisons with the glass, you can skip the beginning, the presentation. If you're more interested in buying glassware, you can only watch the half of it. So it's up to you. Cheers, Tanjeba.